Hi, I'm Milton Rendell and welcome to Real News Friday. Well, it's an interesting world we're in at the moment. Obviously we've got Russia knocking on the door of Ukraine, which none of us can do anything about except for sit and watch. But COVID's come knocking on the door of us here in West Australia, and guess what, it's here. So it's an interesting one. We'll sort of go maybe a little bit more about that in a moment. In terms of sales in the last week, 1,123. Stock level is 7,903, so that's about where it was last week, but that's still 4% lower than it was 4 weeks ago. So obviously we're having a diminishing stocks now with this latest things that are happening with COVID. We may see more pressure to that stock level. We're not too sure. I would suggest that people are stopping and looking and trying to determine what's going on going forward. Rentals, there is 2,321 available. That's down about 1%, but that's down 18% on what it was a year ago. So supply demand still being driven. I can't see that changing. The rents, I think we will still see that to kick along. This COVID situation is going to probably change things again. We're not sure, but now you throw the situation with Russia and the stock market. The stock market, pardon the expression, absolutely shat itself this week. So we'll see where that leads in the next coming weeks. I'm pretty speaking to a few brokers are all scratching their heads. They're still expecting to go down lower. Now, if we're to talk about real estate in a normal sense, when the stock market is doing or behaving the way it is, it tends to drive real estate and tends to drive inquiry up. So we will see whether that does. There are a lot of unpredictables at the moment, and sort of mesh it in together. I continually keep being asked, when the borders open up, and how much is that going to influence our marketplace? I'm still of the opinion that West Australia hasn't got any closer to where the rest of Australia. We didn't move the border, as in the state didn't move closer to any other countries. We still have challenges in terms of trying to find people to work here. I don't think there's going to be a rush of people over. I think that's the optimism of the government. Why? Because now if you're sitting in New South Wales or Victoria or Queensland, you're looking at us going into a worsening COVID situation, not a better one. So they might be reluctant to come across. The thing is, depends on which television station you're watching, you're going to get different opinions. That's really where we are at the moment. You only have to look at what they say in the US. Things I do know is that if we still continue to see this pressure that's happening in the US and interest rates climb there, we'll definitely have a climb in interest rates here. I'm not as sure as it's going to be as dramatic as people have discussed, because this Russia situation may cause us different issues, but once again, we don't know. To be honest, it's probably the most confusing or crossroad moment I've seen in quite some time for a marketplace or for our economies. I don't think it's doom and gloom. I just think it's just something we all have to sit back and watch. And sadly, a lot of the stuff we can't control. If you look and reflect on the COVID situation, if I said to you 6 months ago, do you know anyone's got COVID? The answer would be no. Today, if I ask you, you'll say, yes, I know someone's got COVID. Or you know someone's isolating. And I know there's a number of people in the medical industry get isolating already. We've seen that with a couple of our tenancies. And I've had a daughter who works at Fiona Stanley. She's isolating because she happened to have a bite of a muesli bar during a meeting, so she moved the mask down. So now she had to isolate for a week. Apparently one of the doctors had tested positive after. So it's a pretty confusing world. The rules changing quite dramatically. So I'd love to shine a torch on it and say this is exactly the way we're going to go. What I do know at the moment, the rentals still is a shortage. The inquiry is still there. Sales inquiry is still there, and we're still experiencing shortages in terms of stock. What changes will we see coming forward? I think we're just going to have to battle down, and between now and June, probably just try and navigate our way best through it. But again, I still think the market will continue. But this Russian situation has thrown a small spanner in the works. It might be a big spanner, we don't know yet. We'll just have to watch and see how we go. Be interested in your own opinions. I've no doubt it's something all of us will be talking about at barbecues. But we'll see how we go. Anyway, all the best, and look forward to speaking to you again next week. Check out realestateplus.com.au.